watching SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to another episode of SKST Radio. We're talking real talk with Cammie, Grayson, and friends. And I have a new friend. He goes by the name of Adam. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I like that intro. I was looking forward to those cozy little chairs, but I guess this will have to do for now.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Adam, tell people who you are.
My name is Adam Johnson. I'm an actor. I live in Los Angeles. I grew up in Utah, but I've been living here in LA for the past, I don't know. I lose track of time, 25 years. I don't know. But living down here and pursuing the craft and just having a great time.
Wow. Okay, so you are in Cali.
Yes.
What part?
I'm currently in Burbank right now.
Okay.
You can tell, but I was at Disneyland earlier today. My niece
Okay, gotcha.
15, so I was down there with her. And you got to wear a Disney shirt.
Gotta wear the t-shirt. Yeah. So I went down to Hollywood, California a couple of years ago, right at COVID time. And that was my very first time going. And I mean, I didn't even get to have fun because of the COVID stuff.
Yeah, you boy, out of all the times to go, that was the worst.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. It really was.
I was actually in Serbia. I was working on a TV show over there called The Outpost. That was on the CW. Wow. So I was actually missing out of the country for this whole time where things were the craziest. I came back a little bit when it shut down at the beginning. So it was like a ghost town. It was wild.
Wow.
But then I skipped town. So
man. Okay, so how did you get the acting bug? How did you get started doing this acting stuff?
You know, I was kind of all around. It's funny. My mom is she's a hairstylist, and she's been working in the business forever, since like Ozzie and Harriet, and she did like, Charlie's Angels, Mork and Mindy. She's been doing this stuff forever. And my older brother started acting, and she'd always tell us like, "Hey, kids don't get into the film industry. It's just bad news. It's hard. There's loose morals or all this stuff, And then I'm looking back, I'm like, wait a minute. There were 7 kids in my family. She made us dress up in outfits and sing and dance for people. I'm like, wait a second, you bred this into us. There may have been a little bit of something, but I was actually quite shy growing up because I was the third oldest of 7,
Okay.
My 2 older siblings were very, very loud.
Wow. You don't seem like the shy type, to be honest.
It's been a long time. I came out of my shell somewhere. Not until my senior year in high school, really, I kind of started coming out of it a little bit. Yeah. So
you decided to go into acting. How did you get started? Did you go to school for it, or? It
was my senior year in high school. I was making some jokes with some buddies, and I'm like, one of the popular kids in school heard me. It's like, hey, wait a minute, Johnson's funny. And for me, that was like a hit of heroin. It was like, my eyes rolled back into my head, and I'm like, got some validation, So I kind of, from there, I started to get the idea that I wanted to do stand-up comedy. So I started with some clubs up in Utah. I was doing some open mic stuff. And then my brother, who had moved to California already, he convinced me. He's like, hey, if you want to do stand-up comedy, you got to come to LA. I mean, look at Tim Allen. He's got his own TV show. That's what all the comics want.
Right.
And so he talked me right into it, and I came down, and you can finish school down here, which I still need to get around to doing. And so I came down here to do stand-up comedy initially. And then he talked me into getting into acting class, or he talked me into going with him one time to acting class. I'm like, I'm not an actor. He's like, come check it out. Yeah. You're a stand-up comedian. You got to get out of your comfort zone. I'm like, I guess that's true. So I went to acting class, and I hated everything about it.
Wow.
I was out of my comfort zone. I was embarrassed. I'm like very, shot. I'm beat red doing all this stuff. And it was just, nothing was, we do improv, and I just was horrible at it. we did a cold read where we get a scene right away. I don't know if you know what a cold read is, but you get the scene, 2 or 3 pages, and you work on it for 15 minutes, and then you perform it in front of the class with someone else. And I was just horrible at it. And then so I thought, this is good. This was good because now I know this is not what I want to do. Exactly what I don't want to do. So after a few months, my brother's like, "You going to come back to class?" I'm like, "No, I figured out that's not for me." And then again, he's like, "Come on, man, you got to stretch yourself." And I thought, okay, all right, fine. And sure enough, I went back, and all of a sudden, everything just started clicking differently for me. And I'm like, wait a minute, this improv, people were laughing. I'm like, hey, this is a different experience when people laugh. It's much more fun. And then I did a scene, and all of a sudden, I don't know if it was the time I had in LA, but I had a little chance to, be there more and kind of maybe relax and trust myself a little more. But I just fell in love with acting at that point. It was really fun. It was fun to find the comedy. And I went in primarily for comedy, which is funny for this film. But that's kind of where I came from.
Wow, I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so let's get into this film. This film was amazing.
Right.
I think when I was talking to AT earlier, I saw the trailer, right? And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be amazing. I already knew it was going to be a great movie, right? But it didn't take me where I thought it was going to take me.
Okay.
So it was a surprisingly suspenseful thriller type series.
Excellent. Good. Okay.
And
I like to
so
hear that.
it's different, it's different. And like I said, it took me out of my element. I wasn't expecting that,
Oh, good. Okay.
So how did you get cast for this particular movie?
Man, this was, you hear them say it's who you know, and this was an introduction that a friend of mine made. I was in Utah. I go home occasionally. I go up there a lot for family and stuff. And I was helping a friend with some commercial he was shooting, and I was driving around the producer, and the producer was like, started asking me where I'm from. And I'm like, oh, I live in LA and I'm an actor. And he started laughing. It's like, an actor? Oh, they're the worst. And I'm like, yeah, they are the worst. And then he said, who's your agent? And I told him it was Herbie Grimes at the back of the time. And he goes, and he started laughing even more. And I'm like, what's the deal? And he says, I'm with Herbie Grimes. I'm an actor.
Oh, wow.
So we both had the same agent, but we immediately hit it off. He's Neto. He's a good friend of mine and AT's. And so we just became friends from that. And then he had another project he brought me in on. And then he introduced, he started producing, and then he introduced me to AT, who had the script he wanted to do a little table read for. And so he brought me in, and then we hit it off, and he really liked what I brought to the table. He kind of liked my, energy. I'm not a small guy. I'm 6 foot, and,
Okay.
but I guess I'm pretty broad. I guess it's funny because I don't see myself as a really intimidating person, but I guess I've got a pretty big stature.
Right.
And it's good to know. It's good to know how you look, and so you can work with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and just seeing your character on this movie, it again, it left a whole different type of feeling, because you thought you were coming into something, and it ended up being something different. So put it that way. So I would love to show America the trailer, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Please do.
Let's do it.
Doctor, things are going the wrong direction for me. I'm a hopeless case.
Listen to me. There is one more thing. For us to have any success here,
You can
we're
tell
gonna
that's
do this
Callie.
my way or no way at all. With each snap, you will fall deeper and deeper. I want you to go back in time. How old are you?
Hey, what's 8?
Tell me what you see.
Blood. There's a basin filled with my blood. The places they cut me up, I'm bleeding.
Is there anyone else there?
They're all sleeping now. It's their turn.
He's obsessing about his patients. He's isolating from relationships.
I've been sensing something. It's dark. You need to be careful.
You know what the problem is? Impulse. You thought about it. Death.
Are you a good boy?
I have his knife. It's all I need. She's downstairs.
You need to stop bringing your work home.
This is a man's life.
But what about our life?
Enough.
I can't fail. I've opened the door. What do you see?
She's hanging from a rope. She cut her wrists. Wake up. Wake up. I let you experiment on me. This is my reward. I want to play with her.
This is enough.
It's too late. I can't stop the things that are coming. Doctor. I don't think you can make me well.
Let it out.
It's just good advice. Let it out, you know.
Let it out. Let it out. Don't let it out.
Depending what it is, let it out, or actually maybe don't let it out.
Yeah, you know what? And that was the key word. I felt like that was the key word.
Yeah.
So okay, so making this movie, did it creep you out?
Yes, it did. I enjoy thrillers. I have a couple of brothers who do not like thrillers as much, and we're all kind of like, oh, they're really fun until they get sort of dealing with, kind of dark entities, or it's sort of that kind of supernatural thing, and then we begin to get a little bit creeped out. I push through though. I push through and I enjoy those things, but it's like we have a friend who tells us about his ghost story, this ghost he has at his business, right? And he said he told us how he's not a guy that makes up stories, right?
Right.
And so he told us very plainly that he saw this figure, that it was a woman. I'm like, wait, how could you tell it was a woman? I thought like maybe it was a vibe he got. He's like, well, because she walked by the door. And he's like, she walked by the door, and I thought somebody was in the house, and so and upstairs in the business. So I grabbed my gun to see who it was. I'm like, it was that clear and that obvious that it wasn't like an orb or some mist,
right,
or a sensation or a flash in a mirror. It was a figure that walked by the door, So anyway, I love the story because I love the idea of seeing ghosts, and I've never have myself. And so when it comes time in the daytime, we're like, let's go see it. I want to go see this ghost. But then when the sun goes down and it gets a little darker outside, all of a sudden kind of the mood changes. I'm like, maybe next time. It sounds a little creepy. Anyway. So yeah, that stuff kind of creeps me out. And then, the topic of this movie is very creepy. And so we would shoot at night, and then we hear stories. I'm sure A.T was telling you they saw something in the window, like some face, and I was in my scene, so I kind of missed all this stuff. But they were very spooked.
Yeah.
And it rubbed off.
And then the crazy thing, is based off of, real
case studies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff, that's so wild to me, just there's these true stories of people that have kind of had these experiences under hypnosis, things like that. Yeah. It's very interesting to say the least.
Which is weird though, because a lady was doing a show last night, and she had a guest, and her guest was pretty much saying the same thing, and she nice looking lady, you didn't think she was cuckoo or anything like that. Right. And she was like laying it out, and I'm like over in the corner going, interesting.
You're like, we just bring the lights up a little bit more, just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I got the ear hustle to kind of hear what was really going on here. So she was like, and she was sharing it with her husband and everything. So I thought, people go through that, and you just don't realize, that it's out there. If you really don't, what did they say? If you don't believe it, it won't hurt you and all this stuff. But
Uh, I don't know. I
yeah,
mean, a lot of movies I've seen suggest otherwise.
absolutely, absolutely. But that's just to scare us, and make us come
Right,
back for
right,
more.
exactly. And then you have all that stuff kind of just rumbling around your brain and all those things you've heard, and you're like, wait, what's true? What's not true? And then the worst is like truth is stranger than fiction. So it's like, you know,
Oh my gosh.
what is true? What's not?
So,
So
what was your favorite part about making this movie?
you know, it's a role that is very unique for me in my experience because like I said, I come from comedy, so I love doing comedy and I've done a handful of things with that, but the drama is really fun. I find myself doing more and more drama, which is great. Also, you get a chance to really kind of get into these things and experiencing some, when you have some good scene partners to work with and everything. And so, and obviously this cast was very small. So it was fun to be able to get in there with Tim and experience this stuff. And it's much more of like a family effort when it's such a small group and you've got such great people like, AT and just everybody involved was, Taylor and Tim and just getting to work with those guys and exploring some things and seeing where these, it's a crazy character I play. And the challenge of also playing this character is he's kind of larger than life at times, and a little bit, the old title of the movie was Unhinged, and which really described my character. And of course, AT as a doctor, he's like, oh yeah, this is very real. These people have these swings of emotion and they'll go from laughing to crying and just kind of bounce around. I'm like, okay. As an actor, you're always trying to figure out how you can emotionally progress in a scene and get to something so it's authentic and it's real. And so that's a real challenge when he's like, yeah, they're just like a chemical imbalance. You just got to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
just
okay.
yeah.
Great. Yeah. And what's a real treat for me is he's a real ER doctor. And there's a scene. Yeah. Yeah. So he's got real life experience. And there's a scene where they draw my blood, the character's blood, right? And I remember asking him like, oh, this is cool. So what do? Do you use like a special needle that like has a collapsing needle and then like it has fake blood? He's like, oh, no, we're not going to just take your blood. Like, oh, great. Yeah. I don't super love needles.
Right.
So he's like, oh, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. But I do like the idea of trying to overcome those things that are difficult for you.
Right.
That doesn't always work. But so in the scene, and I'm like, great. Okay. So she's going to take my blood out and I'll just be kind of looking off all stoic. And he's like, no, go ahead and look right at it. I'm like, okay. So watch the needle go into my flesh. And so we did it. And I immediately start feeling queasy and my vein collapses or whatever. And so the blood stops. And so the nurse that was doing was an extra nurse. She's like, cut. She cut herself.
We're not doing this again.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, no. They can put some special effects in there. And then so we had to take a few minutes and let me get something to eat. Because I was also intermittent fasting, and I don't know if that helped. I like to pretend that was mostly the reason for me feeling a little bit queasy. So real life drama in this film. So you guys know, real needles, authentic.
Yeah, not so cool.
Real
Wait, so did you guys film during the COVID, or was it right after, or this was last year filming, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was all pre-COVID because I was working on another project. I had worked on a movie, like a TV show, like I said, The Outpost. I think we shot the first season, and then the second season we shot in Serbia. yeah, and then so I was in Serbia at the time, and we took a break and came back. That might have been our
Wow.
third season. I don't remember. I need to keep a journal. I need to write this stuff down. But I was over there, so we had finished this. But of course, it's a small production, so AT was in post-production hell for a long time, working on that and massaging it and cutting that thing together.
So what was the thing that you hated about the show, about filming?
Well, what
Something
was
that you dreaded.
What's that?
Something that
Something
you
I dreaded?
dreaded.
The needle. We'll start
The
with
needle?
the needle. That was I mean, listen, I hate that it bothers me as much as it does. I'm like, let's go again. I'm like, oh, let's not do that. But it was a small budget film, so our shooting window was very small, and so we didn't get a chance. And it's all about that relationship,
Right.
between the two characters. So it would have been nice to have more time to kind of play with those things and see those. So that was the biggest challenge, and kind of, well, a lot of the time, as you know, during the hypnosis, the characters are laying on a couch. Trying to stay awake for those scenes was part of
You did get on and off that couch a bunch.
Yeah, I did hop up off of that couch.
And you didn't move slow. You got up fast,
Thank you.
I did
Thank
notice
you very
that.
much. I still got some of the old, that old energy back. Yeah. So no, it was fun. It was all really fun, but it's a challenge to get that relationship stuff, and some of those scenes are super challenging to
Right.
get to find those emotions, So that's kind of the most fun, but the most challenging thing at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, tell people how they can see the movie.
So it comes out tomorrow, and it'll be streaming on a bunch of digital platforms. Where it's going to be on Amazon Prime. I see Tubi. It'll be Apple TV. Let me see. I have a little list here of some of the places that it'll be available on. What is this? Kings of Horror, Apple TV, Google Play. And let's see. And I think you can go to terrorfilms.net. And I believe they'll have a list of places where you can watch it, or maybe at that site actually. Yeah.
And we'll post a few of them. I think a few of them are posted on this platform as well. So when you go to YouTube and see the video, it'll have list of when people can see it. And I think it actually has the start date of the 31st. So
great. Yeah, that's tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yes, tomorrow.
Finally here. I'm excited for it to get out there for people to see it and to hear what they think.
So you guys, did you attend any of the film festivals?
Yeah, we went to a festival in Orlando. It was a freak show horror film festival, and we won best.
Okay.
I believe what best feature and best actor for that. So that was
nice. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's a cool award, and it's funny because it's on a saw blade. Right, they put on a plaque. This is the saw blade, some like a horror themed thing. And I was flying back home, and I didn't think about it. I put it in my bags just to check carry on the plane.
Right.
And they asked me, "Is like you have anything in this bag we need to worry about?" I'm like, "No, drink. I don't think I have any drinks in there." They're like, and I look on the scan. And I see two saw blades. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I look like I'm for a horror film. She pulls these out, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's it's an award." And she's like, "Oh, that's cool. Okay, don't worry." She threw it back in. Like, they're still metal. They were still, but she thought it was she judged a good character is what she did.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was she knew I was going to be protecting, if anything, with that.
Yeah.
So
what's next for you?
Next, I'm going actually. I'll be in Utah in May to work on a film called Mythica, Stormbound. I did these 5 films called the Mythica series. Okay. And I play it's a medieval fantasy. and I play this warrior character. And it's this world where there's wizards and black magic and
Oh, I love it.
all these things. Yeah, so it's really fun. We'll be shooting that up in Utah, and so that's coming next. That'll be really fun. I'm excited about that.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I am going to be following you. You have a new fan.
All right.
So yeah, I'm going to be following your art and just figuring out where you're going, and hopefully we'll have you on the show again.
That'd be great. I love it.
I love it too. Okay, guys, this wraps our time up. I enjoyed having Adam here. You guys, please go support him, his film, and give us a review. Let us know what you think about it. But until next week, right here, SKST Radio, the Cammy Grayson Show. Say goodbye, Adam.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening.